Now let's move on to discuss the stomach, including the anatomy of the stomach and the histology of the stomach. The structure of the stomach. Shown here in the diagram is the stomach, including a cutout to reveal the different layers. At the top of the diagram is the esophagus, and it joins the stomach in the region of the cardia. In the top right is the fundus portion of the stomach. Next is the body, and the stomach sweeps down through the greater curvature to the pylorus, which is at the duodenal end of the stomach. Within the stomach are rugae. The stomach muscle layers are divided into a longitudinal muscle layer and a circular muscle layer, as well as an oblique muscle layer. At the duodenal end of the stomach is a pyloric sphincter, which connects the stomach and the first part of the small intestine, the duodenum. The stomach is a J-shaped organ, and it lies directly under the diaphragm. Its superior portion is a continuation of the esophagus, and the inferior portion continues with the first segment of the small intestine. When breathing, the stomach moves downward during inspiration and upward during expiration. The stomach has a unique arrangement of three muscle layers: an outer longitudinal layer, a circular layer, and an oblique layer on the inside. This three-layer setup allows the stomach to contract in a wide variety of directions for mixing and mechanically separating food. Let's continue with our discussion of the anatomy of the stomach. The cardia region is the esophagus-stomach contact point. The fundus area of the stomach is for storage. Food can remain here for up to an hour prior to mixing with gastric juices. This mixing with gastric juices takes place in the body of the stomach. The pyloric region of the stomach can be completely shut off from the rest of the stomach during digestion by peristaltic waves. This facilitates the proper mixing of food with gastric juices to produce the chyme. This chyme then passes into the small intestine to continue digestion. The various processes of the digestive system require a tremendous blood supply, both to maintain its action and to deliver the products of digestion. The arterial supply to the stomach can be divided into three branches: the left gastric artery, the splenic artery, and the right gastric artery. The left gastric artery supplies blood to the lesser curvature and the cardia region of the stomach. The splenic artery supplies the fundus and the greater curvature. The right gastric artery delivers blood to the lesser and greater curvatures of the pylorus from the common hepatic artery. Next, let's discuss the histology of the stomach. First, note the diagram in the top right corner of the slide. This shows the gastric pit and the mucous membrane which contains the gastric glands. The next main region we'll discuss is the muscularis externa. The stomach is lined with simple columnar epithelium, and this produces the protective mucus layer that exists in the stomach. Gastric pits open into the gastric surface, through which isotonic hydrochloric acid and precursor enzymes are delivered. The gastric gland extends deep into the lamina propria. The gastric gland contains three main cell types: parietal cells, chief cells, and enteroendocrine cells. The parietal cells are located near the top of the gland, and they secrete intrinsic factor for vitamin B12 absorption and hydrochloric acid. Chief cells are primarily located at the base of the gastric gland. They secrete pepsinogen, and this is converted in the acid environment into pepsin to digest proteins. Enteroendocrine cells are scattered among the other cell types. These cells secrete at least 7 different substances, including gastrin. The hormone gastrin promotes mixing and churning activity in the stomach. food that's ingested into our body enters the stomach and mixes with the gastric juices and gastric acid. Gastric acid is a major component of gastric juices, and it is hydrochloric acid produced by parietal cells. This leads to the acidity of the stomach between a pH of 2 and 3. And this increased acidity contributes both to conversion of pepsinogen to pepsin and to the breakdown of food molecules. Gastric acid is increased in response to the hormone gastrin. Gastrin is stimulated by the presence of partially digested proteins and distension of the stomach wall, which triggers stretch receptors. The wall of the stomach is protected from this acid environment by a layer of mucus. This layer of mucus is produced by goblet cells, and this separates the acidic gastric juices from the cells of the stomach wall.